78K BTC. The games continue. I would say the market was panicking leading into Black Monday, but so far we are holding. There have been drops of fake news floating around. Is this potentially something bigger coming up? So guys, is it time to buy? What do we need to do? So I'm going to give you my strategy. I'm going to tell you exactly what I've started doing for myself. And then we're going to look at some big levels on some of these altcoins. We're going to talk BTC. We're going to talk stocks. They have hit a lot of those buy zones. So guys, it's Monday. Is it Black Monday? We got so much to talk about here. Let's get right into it. And remember, as always, hit the like, hit the bell, and hit that subscribe. James is in the house. Oh, still quite bearish. Okay, I'm trying to unbear him because I think we're getting to a point where we're going to reverse soon. Okay, soon, James.
Soon.
See, it's comforting knowing that he says soon. When he turns bullish, I think we can relax. Okay, banter bubbles. Let's see what's going on. FARTCOIN, absolute relative strength. The market is falling over, and literally the shit coin is holding at the moment. So that is interesting. Still haven't hit my new long zone that I'm looking for on FARTCOIN. So waiting patiently. I've got a degen set up for you guys. We'll build it together, and we'll talk about FARTCOIN today. Then everywhere, it's just misery. But we have seen the last 12 hours or so, there has been a little bit of upside. There has been a market pump, and look, a lot of it is short squeezing, and then a lot of the last move that we saw can be attributed to what people are now calling fake news. But was it fake? So we're going to talk about what is going on at the moment. Let's just discuss BTC and play the games. Look at the games that people play. And especially when I say people, we're talking these market makers. Look at these guys. But if they were part of hackers, okay, there's Trader J. He's there. He also called that for the hacker boys in there, in the region, and girls. And 81.5. Absolute cracker zone. Look at this thing here. We've got our VWAP, simple TA, guys. VWAP from the highs on Wednesday straight into our major horizontal. Look at this horizontal, typical area here. Pump back into the zone. VWAP horizontal 81.5. Bang, rejection on that news. So what do we do now for BTC on the short term? Well, you basically got to decide what hat you are wearing. Okay, if you're wearing a bull hat, well, this is a simple plan for you. Then you're looking for simply a bullish pullback, and you're looking to look for more buys, and obviously you want to see BTC hold certain levels. So if you are a bull and you have the bull cap on, this is what you're doing. 77K, that is going to be your level that you want to pay attention to. Maybe a little bit more pressure to the downside if that does move in there, but something like this for me could make sense on BTC. So watch 77K. You can see we got some wickage down there as well, but 77K for me, that's going to be my first zone of interest at the moment for BTC. Then obviously we've got the lows. Okay, so that could be quite filthy, but there's going to be lots of calling for double bottoms and things like that in terms of the 2-hour chart, and that is sitting at 74,500. Now, obviously, we got some way bigger levels to deal with, and we're going to look at them on the higher time frame. But in terms of wearing a bull cap, well, this is what we're looking at. In terms of wearing a bearish cap, well, then we're going to look at the weekly chart, and we're going to start looking at some levels here, because if you caught this short from this upside on BTC, this could be a dream entry for you. This could be the move that takes Bitcoin to 51K. I shit you not. And we're going to talk about that in detail for you guys in a second. So 81.5 upside bull support right now, guys. 77, 74,500. That is what you're watching. If we do pump a little bit higher, I have highlighted these zones for you, 83K and 85.5. Those are the big ones to the upside. Make sure they are marked on your chart. They should give you some kind of reaction if we do push into those zones. Okay, so that is the short-term game plan here on BTC. That's where we're going to play ping pong in terms of moving down and moving up, and hopefully we get good reactions there. But a lot of the stuff now is coming down to liquidation heat maps. Where's the liquidity and what is actually happening at the moment? And in terms of the weekly liquidation heat map chart, you can see we flushed out quite a bit here at this 81K zone, but we do have one more area at 85. Is this going to be obtained on another tweet out there in the market? Is this going to be a small little nugget of news that's going to get dropped again for a little pump into that area? So guys, 85 is the next big one for me in terms of liquidations and liquidity there to the upside. Okay, so let's talk about the news and let's try and understand what triggered this pump. And then, geez, guys, we actually got We got so much to cover here. So buckle up, because I've got some high time frame altcoins. And basically, well, this is my strategy. I told hackers today, I'm starting to get long. So I've started laddering into 3x margin positions. I'm looking to get long now on some of these altcoins. They are hitting some very big levels. Obviously, we can see another 10, another 20% dump on some of these altcoins. And we need to be prepared for those types of things. But in terms of good areas, in terms of looking for bounces, well, for me, that trigger has finally happened now today. It's been a long time since I started looking for some margin positions, and we are now moving into those types of levels. So I'm going to take you through a ton of charts. I've probably got 6 or 7 high time frame charts for you guys. We're going to talk about those today and those plans around that. And Guido says he closed his shorts on the fake news. Guido, it was fake news, but I'm telling you now, okay, we suspect it wasn't such fake news, and it is going to come out that it indeed wasn't, okay? And it is actually happening. So let's first get into the stuff. $1.6 billion worth of liquidations in 24 hours. Inverse bull, okay? Those were rookie numbers we were watching the other day. This is the real deal, okay? 1.6 billion. What does this mean? Everyone got smashed trying to long going down, and then all of a sudden, what happens in these types of scenarios? Everybody is screaming Black Monday. They are shorting too late. They are shorting on support. They are shorting too late. All it does is take for the boys in suits who want to exit some positions, drop a little bit of fake news, bang, send it up, get out of there, and then send it back down. So that is how everybody gets rinsed time and time again. It's the same situation. Late longers, late shorters, and they come for you. You are there. They dining on this, okay? You are their dessert, basically, the retail guys. Now, I'm loving this because this is how a lot of people are feeling at the moment.
You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Got to win more, James.
Win so much.
You got to just win so much. Are you winning?
It's running on loop in the background of my PC now. Yeah, it's always up in a window there on its own, just playing over and over and over again.
Wonderful. It's wonderful. It's that winning mindset. It's that winning mindset. I'm loving it at the moment. Thank you, Uncle Donald. We feel like winning at the moment. And who's feeling like this? Everything is fine, guys. Everything is fine. Okay. This is how I'm actually feeling about some of these stocks at the moment, getting absolutely smashed here and squeaky bum time. I'm going to take you through some of these stocks. Now, what happened in the last 24 hours? Well, basically, the global markets are absolutely shitting themselves. I'm not sure how I can put that any more politely in terms of what is going on. So just to recap as to what's been going on today, here are all the markets that hit circuit breakers. What is a circuit breaker? Well, basically, when everyone in your market starts selling so much, they have to put the brakes on. They have to ban you from selling for a 15-minute period or a 30-minute period. They actually turn it off so that you can think rationally, so you can not panic sell and do those types of things. These are the countries that hit circuit breakers overnight for me and leading into the US Open. China, Taiwan, Japan, Russell Futures, Australia, Singapore, everybody getting rinsed out there. Okay, nobody is enjoying the current Trump dump at the moment. Then Jesse Cohen saying it feels like 2008. Not even the March 2020 COVID sell-off was this bad in terms of the global meltdown. Look at this chart. Look at this pain out there. Look at the Hong Kong 50, 12% down. I mean, that is absolute carnage there in terms of panic selling. And can you imagine the margin calls and the things going on with all those big guys there out in those markets? So President Trump says we have to solve a trade deficit. Unless we solve that problem, he's not going to make a deal. So what we're seeing here is that he's stuck his heels in, and he's not prepared to do anything at the moment. And we've got hundreds of countries or whatever writing him letters, trying to make meetings, trying to reverse their tariffs, trying to participate in this thing. And he's just basically stuck his heels in, and he's quite adamant that nothing serious is going to happen just yet. So Trump says he's not making a deal with China unless they solve the trade deficit. Trump was just asked about the stock market decline. He says sometimes you have to take the medicine. Now, I've been telling you guys for the last while, this is going to be painful. But if this guy's plan actually works out, and there is a good chance that his plan is going to work out, you're going to forget all this pain now because these markets are going to be absolutely ripping at some point. So I think it's a matter of being patient and just trying to survive the current situation. Then the Fed should cut rates, says Uncle Donald. He says there's no inflation. Now, he's obviously posting this on Truth at the moment. So he's talking about oil prices coming down, interest rates are down. We know that food prices are down, there's no inflation, and the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. Okay, so he's got a lot to say, but he's basically really putting pressure on Powell to start cutting interest rates. Now, that is a possibility that they do cut them, but remember, on Friday, I think we dealt with Powell live, and he was pretty much saying he's not going to cut rates at this point in time. Now, 𝗏𝗡𝗎𝗠 telling us countries that have removed the tariffs against America, and there's some big hitters in here. Look at India, that's a banger. Japan, that's a banger. Also, Taiwan, that's a banger as well. And Zimbabwe, maybe a little bit smaller, but yeah, the stuff's going down here. The guys are relenting, and they're basically giving in to the current situation. Now, this is what spiked the market. Now, is there a hint of truth to this little bit of news? This is my thought process at the moment. We saw a bit of news. I'm going to show you this in a sec. This pumped the market a little bit. Now, we're going to look now and see these charts. But in terms of what's going on, the market's pumped. It rejected when they said that this was in fact fake news. But now the market is kind of holding around, waiting for some kind of announcement. So is there a chance Trump can tariff these nuts? Is there a chance Trump can tariff these nuts? That is the question.
Absolutely, 100%.
Is there a chance this is real news?
I think it may be. This was far too widely reported by, reputable sources. Everyone reported it. And I just saw there was a tweet there showing that this actually came from a head honcho over at Goldman Sachs, an internal email that's been shown going,
there you go.
I got a feeling this is leaked information.
There you go.
White House denied it. And maybe we come back out tomorrow that this is actually real. And because all these countries are coming and begging that they are going to do, okay, if you guys are going to behave, we'll do a little pause, you can act right, and we'll go from there.
Pump the market. Okay, so guys, I love this comment. I don't know who Fire Guy is here, but he says, sounds like someone in New York wanted to exit some of their positions. I mean, easy, isn't it? Easy. You phone your buddies, you say, let's leak some fake news, let the market pump, exit, because we are under severe liquidation pressure. Can you imagine the billions of dollars on some of these hedge funds at the moment? They're under severe liquidation pressure. Okay, we all know what it feels like to be under pressure. Imagine those guys. Okay, we're talking billions of dollars. Let's just pump it up quickly, exit some positions. Just speculating. I'm not saying, I'm speculating. I know James likes the tinfoil hat though. Let's go VIX. This is our VIX. This is our volatility index, guys. And we've been looking at this for a couple of days now. And in terms of severity of situations, the Japanese carry trade, that was pretty rough. Here we are. We're almost at that zone, 61. We're looking at the moment. Look at COVID over there. That was another extreme 82. So in relation to where the VIX has been in the past, we're pretty close to a bottom if we start looking at these types of things. And this is why I don't want to get turbo bearish in these types of levels. I'm finding it very hard to continue the bear train. I know we've been talking, super bearish over the last couple of weeks about where things are going, but I think the pain is starting to come to an end. And that is why I've started getting involved in some of these altcoins again, and obviously getting involved in some of these stocks that I've been talking to you guys about. So in terms of the S&P, let's just see where we are. Monster sell-off, there's no denying that. But in terms of bounce zones, there were three big areas of interest last week that we were watching. They were 4,900, that's the first one. Then we've got our 4,800, that pivot region over there. And then we've got the big one for me, the quantum reactor, the 382, the horizontals, that's 4,600. That is a high conviction long zone for me in terms of the S&P. But now, obviously, this could mean that some of the stocks that I'm trying to trade at the moment could actually see a little bit more downside potentially if that wasn't the low. So I do have one eye on this at the moment. But in terms of S&P 4.6, really starting to make sense. That quantum reactor, I just want to remind you, this quantum reactor on the weekly has been an absolute banger here in terms of support for the S&P. Look at that. We have wicked through it a couple of times, but in terms of that level, 4,600, that's a huge area for us. And for me, that's a pretty high conviction long zone. GM, sir. Okay, let's go. What's going out there? Tech stocks, overnight trading. Now, we've seen this morning, I was obviously guiding the hackers saying pre-market we were going to open a little bit lower. But in terms of some of the big ones, tech stocks overnight, look at that. Robinhood, 17% down. What do we got? Tesla, 10. NVIDIA, 10. AMD, 9. Meta, 8. Alphabet 6% down, and some of these prices are just looking way too enticing for me, and that is why I've been really trying to get hold of some of these and really catch some of these bounces. Now, NVIDIA wasn't on my hit list earlier today, and now I'm regretting it a little bit because we've had a monster bounce off this 87 region here. So we've had a huge pump, and right now, I mean, this thing actually pumped 15%. Okay, on that news, it's now currently 10% up from opening earlier today. So that would have been a nice scalp there on market open. In terms of NVIDIA support, 87, watching that. In terms of the next buy zone for me, it's 76 to 78. I'm watching that region. So I missed this opportunity, unfortunately, on NVIDIA. I've been watching a couple of others. I've been trying to get my hands on Apple, and I've managed to get more buys in on Apple, so I'm nicely underwater now. Now, Apple is a tricky one because we know a lot of their parts are in China. So if it so turns out that these tariffs are going to be staying or remaining, there's going to be a bit of pressure on Apple. But in terms of technically, this is in a great area. In terms of fundamentally, there might be a problem. Yes, sir.
Trump's just come up with more tariff threats. He's just threatened China, saying if they don't get rid of their 34% retaliatory tariff by tomorrow, they get another 50%. So that'll affect Apple.
Oh, this is so ridiculous. Okay, let's go. Why is Apple interesting on the chart? Well, look at this. This is our quantum reactor. This quantum reactor has been support for us, for Apple, since March 2009. Okay, we are finally back at March 2009 quantum reactor support. This thing can be cured very easily with some kind of tariff negotiation in the next 24 hours. This could be an absolute face melter if the right news headline comes out. I did not want to miss that opportunity. That is why I'm prepared to take on risk here, because there's a chance you're going to get a face melting rip out of this Apple. So levels for me, I've bought here, I've bought more here, 176, watching that one. The next one for me, guys, 166. Now the risk here is, we know fundamentally parts are in China. We know that could be a problem. What could happen here? Good level, number one. Number two, the Chinese come out, they say, okay, cool, we're chilling, no more tariffs, whatever, and Apple is going to rip. So that is the risk I'm taking on here. If you're comfortable with that type of risk, give it a go. You're probably going to see if this does play out, it either bounces here or it's going to bounce down in this region over here. And then we're talking these types of things, which we will deal with later on. But I do believe this market owes us a snapback bounce, and I do believe it's coming. Okay, let's talk Alphabet. Google got my entry on this one. Look at this, how beautiful this is. The VWAP from the lows, picked up an entry here. I think my entry is about 142, give or take, where we 141.8. Okay, so got the entry there on Google, got Meta, got Microsoft, and I'm sweating in Apple. Obviously, you guys know my story behind Apple there, what I'm planning. So in terms of Google, I am prepared for this thing to come lower. We've got levels at 130, levels at 120. I do believe both of those areas should offer quite a nice bounce. So I have added margin to this account, and I'm looking for action in those zones. So 130, 120 for me, no changes, but I do like the existing reaction we got here at that first zone. We've also now closed, or we're about to close, or we're fully closed this gap. Okay, so we had a beautiful gap here that has now been closed. Always a nice target as well for some of these stocks. And China trying to be big balls until Trump shows big balls. Guys, it's also childish. Okay, Meta also big bouncer here for us. We had two big levels, guys. Meta traders 480. Watch that. That's your support now, and your next one is 450. So quite comfortable with these two areas so far. Looking for bounces here. You can see I'm loaded up on Meta. I've got one or two orders in, and let's see how we go. Might be adding to that. We need to start getting the size up quite quickly. If there is going to be some bullish headline, we want to make sure that we take part in a ripper. Okay, we want absolute rippage here. And then one more is Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft looking interesting here. Also VWAP action, horizontal action. You can see we are reacting in the zone. So Microsoft traders, guys, this is a 345. Looks interesting to me. Then we've got quantum reactor 330, and then I've got another bounce zone for you, 310. Those are your big levels for Microsoft. For me, that is where these things are going to be face melting, bouncing off one of these zones. It's going to be a banger. I want to make sure I'm ready in these stocks for that bounce. Okay, obviously could be completely wrong. Okay, but that for me is what I'm going to, and that is what I'm looking at. Remember, if you want to trade stocks with me, guys, this is on BTCC. You just go into the show description, you click on more, and you will find BTCC waiting there for you guys. There is actually currently a stock competition at the moment that I'm running for BTCC, so come and join me. And they obviously looking after the whales there as well. So if you're putting in $100,000, they're literally giving you a $10,000 future bonus there for you guys. So really trying to take care of the guys that want to trade some big stock positions. Okay, let's go. Let's crack on here. Let's get into Bitcoin. This is the business. Now, this was our weekly bear case. This has been our weekly bear case for James, how long? I don't know. How long have we been looking at? Since the highs, basically. We've been staring at this chart. There's two options for me. Now, I don't need to get exact to the dollar on this weekly chart. But for example, if you caught that short earlier that we discussed on the 2-hour chart, this could be a beautiful trip all the way back down to this 51K zone. That is potentially on the table for us in terms of BTC. But in terms of maybe an interim bounce that we could get in the market, for me, it feels pretty weird that they would bottom us here at 74,700. Look at that. We're not even on these highs. Look, I've got a high over there, 73,600. I've also got a high over here at 73,800. It's pretty weird that they haven't come and taken out this level nicely. Okay, so I would like to see the bear in me would like to see this area taken out, and I would like to see a push down into that level. So for me, anything from that 73 down to that 69K, anywhere in that region makes sense to me in terms of Bitcoin and where it can go. And then again, we don't have to be super bullish. Here's a downtrend for you. If we do get bounces, we could just play this game all the way down until things really start changing for us from a macro perspective. Okay, so Bitcoin, you got your levels. The big one, I don't want to freak anyone out, but 51K, just to show you guys simple TA stuff. If this was a 15-minute chart, you would pull your fibs. You'd say 618 in play, horizontal in play, rising trend in play. Yes, that's a good buy zone. Okay, potential area where you can long that thing. Okay, so that is why that 51 is making sense to me on BTC. Okay, cool. Float around. Long may you float around. Maybe we get a nice headline later. Now, let's get into some of the things. So altcoins, this is also one of the reasons why I've decided it is time to start looking at a couple of longs. Again, I'm not aping everything. We're not going max leverage on the situation, but we're just being aware of the situation. And the situation is, the last time we looked at this chart at these types of levels, we had this type of reading. We had a heavily oversold 4-hour RSI, and look at this dominance at the top of your screen. This is Bitcoin dominance in overbought territory. What does this tell you? Well, when you see heavily oversold on the 4-hour, this is generally a place where the spot traders and maybe the very low margin traders start laddering into positions, because you know if you're just going to trade the 4-hour RSI, there is going to be some kind of wave up at some point. Now, it's not a foolproof plan, but what we do know, if you backtest this time and time again, you will see these tokens bounce from oversold to overbought, and quite often that comes with a fairly decent sized move on some of the tokens. So right now, they are sitting in oversold territory. We might go deeper. It's easy. We can easily go another 10-15% down, but in terms of this, and in terms of a time perspective, from a timing perspective, I think we are days away from a bounce here on some of these tokens. So for me, just trying to be prepped. And then in terms of dominance, heavily overbought here. Again, it's a timing thing now. And at some point, this dominance that you see at the top of your screen is going to start rolling over, and those alts are going to start bouncing a little bit for you guys. So I did drop this on Twitter earlier today. So follow me on Twitter at the Lord of Entry, and you can see what I'm getting up to. You'll see a lot of alpha there as well. There's a lot of posts there for you guys. And I mean, look, there's some memes as well. Okay, and here's some Tesla source for you guys. Okay, it's all going down there on my Twitter. I'm also running a poll, guys. I actually need your help, so I'd really appreciate it if you could do this poll for me. What I want to know is, shall we separate the stock trading from the crypto trading? Because what I can do is once a week, I can bang out like a 35-minute show. We can just bang out some stocks for you, some news related to those stocks, and then we can have that totally separate, so it doesn't start squashing into our precious altcoin time. So please go fill out this poll for me. That's obviously very important information, because it's going to be a basis of your show that I'm going to be giving you guys. Okay, so let's talk dominance. What do we know? The 4-hour, it's sitting in heavily overbought territory. And we also know on the weekly that we're looking at here, this is also in heavily overbought levels as well. But you can see what's been happening in these zones. It's kind of just floated around these areas over the last year or so. So a lot of pressure here on BTC. But in terms of weekly, where can dominance go? So number one, we are in our big rejection zone on Bitcoin dominance. So I would be very surprised if we just rip through this area at 64.5%. I would be very surprised if we just blow through here without a fight. What does that mean? A rejection. Okay, what does a rejection mean? The rejection means some kind of altcoin rally, some kind of rejection on the alts. So for me, 64.5, that makes a lot of sense to me. And also, if you have been shorting shitcoins with us in Chart Hackers, you will understand what happens a lot of the time. If you get an altcoin that pumps up and rejects quite hard, leaves a big wick, you often get a situation where they push it back up, they fill the wick, and then they drop it back down again. And this could potentially be trading like a shitcoin, even on a short-term basis. So potentially there's a couple of signs leaning me towards in favor of an altcoin bounce here in the next couple of days. So where can we go next? If we lose the 64.5, guys, the next time we're having the big discussion for an alts rally, and I don't know what they're going to look like. You might literally see AVAX at $9 there. You might see Sol at 60 up there. You might see ETH at like 900 if we up there in these types of levels. But that is going to be the next discussion zone where we start talking about an altcoin bounce for me. Okay. And Joshua says, just finished work. What did I miss? The too long didn't read, bro. Some fake news came out. They said it wasn't fake. We suspect maybe it isn't fake. That's pretty much a wrap. Bitcoin had a nice bounce and it's holding levels. I always do that by accident. Okay, let's go. Total 3, guys, total 3 bouncing in our zone. Technically, this is now turning bearish. We've lost our trend. So we've been staring at this trend for the last couple of weeks, watching this thing trending lower. And generally, when you get to these areas, you want to see some kind of bounce. Now, this thing has lost the rising trend. So this is looking a little bit bearish for us. So what is the best case situation? Pump into that type of level there for me, and then maybe some more downside before we get the next move. So in terms of a bounce, 650 billion, that provided support for us. This was an interesting zone, and you can see quantum reactor coming into play. So that's our big support on total 3. And remember, total 3 is a nice picture of all the altcoins excluding Bitcoin and ETH. So it gives you a nice picture as to what is going on there in the markets, but looking a little bit bearish here. So this is telling us dead cat bounce potentially, and then some more downside on some of these altcoins. Now, let's talk ETH, okay? And Auto World says everything is always bearish. It is a little bit bearish, bro. It's not the best look at the moment, but ETH, I mean, we got to readjust this. Can we get a revised one of these, James? 1.8, that's being way too nice to ETH at the moment. I knew this thing would eventually come down. So if anybody noticed why your ETH shorts were printing over the last while, well, a whale got liquidated. 67,000 ETH worth, 106 million. Oh, that is a deep burn on a Sunday. Wow. Okay, that's going to fuck your day up, okay? So that 106 million wreckage there on ETH, and that is why you had that cascading sell-off. Then Ash Crypto reporting the hyper-liquid whale. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong. I don't know how to read into this. He could just be a crazy trader. But 50x whale is back, $47 million ETH long at the moment, and he is long from 1,460. That's a good entry, though. To be fair, whoever you are, that's a banger. Okay, that's a good entry, bro. So 1,460, that is nice. He's long. Ben Cowan is right. Okay, so this guy, hats off to Ben Cowan, absolutely nailed it. Really, he fucking nailed it. Okay, so he sent ETH back into his bull market support band or whatever he calls this thing, and looking good in terms of what happens now with ETH? Well, I tried to long it. So my short got closed at 1601 last night. Thought I was very smart. Okay, banked that short that we've been riding from 2,100. Loved, enjoyed the moment all the way down. But what I did say to you guys was I'm longing ETH 1.5 to 1.6. Long that thing, got stopped out. Okay, so now we're going to reassess where we are with ETH. There's a couple of things we're going to look at. Number one, if we're reclaiming 1.5, 1.6, yes, we're going to talk about some longs up there. Alternatively, what I was saying to James before we went live is I'd actually like to see ETH come and take out this 1.4 properly. Okay, so you can see we haven't taken out this wick properly yet. There it is, waiting. Okay, here's our nice horizontals. Now that we've done this work, I'd love to see that bang on ETH. So 1.4 to 1,360. I don't know. Do you think this guy will get liquidated there? What's his liquidation level here? Doesn't say. Okay, we must find his liquidation level. But yeah, that's pretty much where I see ETH at the moment, making sense to me. So 1360, 1380. Yes, sir.
You know, it's a strange coincidence that Zen just pointed out here is that he likes this 47 number. He keeps opening positions that are $47 million. Trump is the 47th president. Everybody keeps saying this is one of the Trump team. What do you think? Is that just a slap in the face? He's just taking people on so they can speculate further, having fun trolling everybody? Interesting.
Okay, guys, there you go. Number 47 is long. Okay, Mr. 47. Okay, there he is. So he's long on ETH. Let's talk SOL. What is the deal? So this was my plan for SOL, and I think, to be fair, this is it now. This is what we're looking at. We're looking for a fake out back into the range and then a rejection. Then we want to visit this 80 level again. Okay, so that is the plan. We've lost the level. I was saying this is not something we really want to see, but it is a reality for us. Okay, so we've lost that level. Now we're looking for a pump back into the range, fake into the range, sell it back, send it to hell. 80, you're looking at 69, somewhere in those types of levels there on SOL. So it's really as simple as that. Okay, now in terms of things that I've got going on at the moment, I want to talk to you guys about 𝗏𝗏 today, because this could be a little pumper, and I don't have many DGen setups for you guys. So I wanted to give you, I wanted to show you, talk to you about 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗰. These are the best ones I've got in terms of DGen setups at the moment. You can see we're getting close to a little retest, and then we're covering some high level time. We're looking at weekly timelines on things like Link. We're looking at AVAX. We're looking at ONDO. We're looking at some bangers with those types of things for you, just to give you a guide as to where we are in the context of the market. And I'm going to explain my thought process around me starting to get long on some of those tokens in a relaxed fashion. Okay, remember, high leverage stuff can stress you out. Low leverage spot, 3x margin, that type of thing, it's pretty relaxing. And as long as you're buying on the good areas, then things are okay. And Auto World says these discounts are how millionaires are created. I concur. And guys, don't think for 1 second this isn't an opportunity brewing here for you guys. Okay, so let's get stuck into these things now. Okay, first one, I said let's do a FARTCOIN DGen setup to cure the DGens. Then we're talking 𝗏𝗏, then we got 𝗏𝗰, then we're going higher time frame. So in terms of FARTCOIN, what I want to see personally, and the levels I dropped today, I'm not comfortable on new longs on FARTCOIN until we start hitting some big areas. So for me, unfortunately, might miss out on a couple of moves here, but the big zone for me at the moment is still 37 down to 34, and the next one for me on FARTCOIN is 295 down to 265. So waiting patiently on this thing. You can see this 2 hour is now getting a little bit overcooked. So I think it's a matter of time now before FARTCOIN starts reversing, and then we're going to reassess where we are when it falls over. So when we get a full reset on that 2 hour, the chart hackers, you'll get the FARTCOIN charts from me. I'll start, finalizing those potential entry zones for you guys. But right now, there's no new entry for me, particularly on longs on FARTCOIN. Now, in terms of shorts, you can see there has been a couple of games to play on FARTCOIN. You can see we are getting rejections in these zones. Okay, so that's a nice rejection candle. But for me, I don't want to go and poke the bear here. That's a 14% risk to the upside if you're trying to short that candle now. So I would just say, be careful. If you're looking for a FARTCOIN entry, join hackers. You'll get one. In the next 2 days, you're going to get a FARTCOIN entry from me on a decent high conviction setup. So let FARTCOIN just chill for a bit, guys. Those are the levels. Remember, all the charts you see on the show, they go into chart hackers directly after the show, okay, including all those high time frame charts that I'm about to talk about. Well, Black Monday is a good day because, oh, look, there's Kimmy. She's doing her girls session later. Okay, there's Kimmy. Okay, she's doing girls things there for all the hacker girls. She's got you guys covered. But in terms of every Monday, I update all these charts here. These are charts that I watch. Okay, these are guys that I'll be laddering into on spot and margin of these types of levels, and I update these every Monday. So it was pretty good timing that today was considered Black Monday because we got a few good zones here. I mean, look at this Litecoin earlier today. That's a slapper. Look at that, 63. absolute banger there. I think we've had a bounce now on Litecoin as well. So all of that stuff is here for you guys as well. Okay, let's go. Let's get into the juice. Where's our tower? Okay, here's Tau. And this I used today in my Accelerator School workshop. And look, it's a good practical example on a couple of things. So tower on the weekly, what can we see here? We know, okay, AI narrative. We know people like tower. It's a bit of a pumper, those types of things. It's always a nice buy area as well when you hit a 786 on a macro scale, including some weekly levels. So in terms of good areas, you can see we've dropped into our zone. This was our 196 to 160 zone. So remember, these weeklies are quite broad areas. These are big zones where we can start sniffing around on spot and that type of basis. Now, if we start moving into leverage, what we can do is get on a degen basis here. And what we can do is break it down. So we understand that Tau on the weekly is sitting on a big area. So we already know this is a huge support zone for us. If we're going to lose that area, things are going to get dark and messy. And then we're going to be picking Tau up most likely down at 120 or down to 80, those type of levels. But in the meantime, there may or may not be some degen bounce plays. Now, these are the ones that I love to catch, obviously on the good areas. And then if we do get a sustained move, I like to add a bit to those positions and grow the size. And I covered this in detail on my Accelerator School workshop today. So guys, make sure you sign up for the next one, because the next one's going to be, I think it's probably in 4 weeks. We did the final one today for the existing cohort. So the next one is going to be in a couple of weeks, where you'll get this information and the details around it in detail from me. But in terms of a degen play, well, I'm sitting in Tower at the moment, and I was laddering into the position on weakness in these areas here. And now this is where the bull plan comes into play. If you're wearing a bull hat and you think this market can pump you 15%, 25% and things like that, well, this is where you can accelerate the size of your trading position by adding to it. So these circles are where I've been adding to Tau currently, and I'm going to add on any bullish pullbacks into that type of region. Let's just see where there's our 382 in play. Let's add our 618 there as well. Okay, there's our 618. And I want to add onto these areas here. So as long as we're nibbling in all these types of zones and we're growing that position, if our bias is bullish, then it's easy. Our invalidation is clear. We're going to leave at 179. We're going to exit under 179 in terms of a leverage position. Right now, what am I trying to achieve? Buy. I want to build a nice size Tau if it keeps going. And then I want to target the 235 position high. So that is up here. That is going to be our wick to the upside there. So how does that happen? Well, typically you start buying on a big area, you accumulate, then it pumps a bit, you buy on a break of trend, you buy when it pulls back and things like that. So for me, Tau, if this is going to remain bullish, it's a very simple equation. It's got to close above 180. Simple as that. If this candle closes under this 179, that means we're losing our 618, and that's generally our last gasp sort of bullish area where we might get something like that playing out for us. Okay, so if we do drip lower, then you start getting that type of downtrend playing out for you. So right now 182, 191, these are the bull zone areas that I'm watching. I'm going to add at 182, going to exit close under 179. Okay, that is my game plan there. On Tau, you can see immediately this thing's potentially wants to roll over on the 45 minutes. So you can see potential downside in play. We're looking for that. And if we get that reset, hopefully, if things remain bullish, 182, 184, those types of levels makes a little bit of sense to me. Okay, 𝗙𝗆𝗆 Heralded says whales are DCAing their bags. I'm pretty sure there's some players buying roundabout now. I'm pretty sure they're ready to buy a little bit lower as well. Remember, if you like these tokens in the bull market, which was there, if you thought 𝗬𝗰 was fundamentally great at 3.9, if you thought 𝗬𝗰 was fundamentally great at 5.3, why don't you think it's great now at 2? Okay, just ask yourself that question. Is it going to be really good at 1.5? I'm sure it's going to be very nice at 1.5. Okay, so 𝗬𝗰, same principle here, guys. I want to give you a potential short-term degen move that you can look at, but in terms of the context of the market, 1.5 is starting to look like a zone where we could end up. So there could be some in-between interim pumping, and then I think we could end up at this 1.5 level on 𝗬𝗰 potentially. So how do we deal with this? Well, here's 𝗬𝗰 on the 1 hour for you guys, and you can see pretty simple what is going on here at the moment. We have lost a key level. Okay, we've lost this key horizontal zone. This is our 382. We're rejecting off a VWAP region. If this thing is going to stay bullish, well, you need to follow the bull source. And the bull source is some kind of 382 pullback, some kind of 618 pullback, and then a break back up into that, and then you're changing your trend, and you are moving this thing to the upside. Okay, so right now we are below major support 2.14, and key support now for us, if this is going to hold, if this move is going to carry on pushing up, 1.94 is the first line of support you want to pay attention to, and then 1.86. If we start closing under these zones, these are probably cut zones. If you start losing these areas because it means market's getting filthy, there's no deal on the table, handbags are out between Trump and the Chinese, you know the story now, okay? It's very headline based at the moment, but there's a part of me that feels like we are close to the end of the pain, short-term bounce, to take more liquidity, and then we get some bad headlines later on and we go lower down. So part of me is leaning towards these things holding. And just remember, if you are wrong, just know where to cut, and then also know where your next buy zone is. And that's what I'm going to focus on now with some of the high time frame charts for you guys. So in terms of 𝗬𝗰, just mark these levels on your charts, guys. 1.95, that is a cut zone number one. And your next cut zone could be a close under 1.826. That could be a cut zone for you. And then next one would be a close under the lows 1.7. Remember, if you are wrong, okay, you don't have to stay in it to prove that you are right. You can just cut it if it stops making sense, and make sure it's under some key areas, okay? And yes, Mumo says, right, these are the times we were praying for. Correct, okay? And Verderi, bro, this guy, 50% more tariffs to China. James is that bear hat.
Bullish. So bullish. We're just going to rip on that news, I'm sure.
I can't wait for the day. I wonder what bullish James looks like. I don't even know what that
I've never
looks
met
like.
that guy before.
I've met that guy. He was trading PopCat. He was trading Brett. He was having the time of his life.
Yeah, a year ago.
Yes. He was having the time of his life. We're going to get him back. Don't you worry. Okay, let's go. Lots to talk about here. So in terms of Injective, why did I start buying Injective here today on low leverage? Well, guys, it's not perfect. Okay, it's not perfect. There are levels here on Injective. 5. Okay, that's an area. There's another one at 3. But in terms of where it's at now, even if it's some kind of short-term potential bounce zone here for me, it's just starting to make sense when you start hitting these types of areas. So 6.3, guys. I mean, that's a big level there on Injective. At some point, this thing rips back up. Okay, I'm not saying it's going. It might never go back to these type of levels. Okay, just we need to understand that. But in terms of where it could reasonably go, I mean, for me, I wouldn't be surprised at some point it does rip back to those types of levels there, and that could be quite a substantial move. So what I was saying to the hackers earlier today is, if you are doing this type of thing, obviously, you got to decide if you're playing spot or you're playing 2x, you're playing 3x. You got to know where your liquidation levels are and stuff like that. But in terms of this type of stuff that I'm trying to do, I was saying earlier, like, the market's going to change with a headline. There's going to be a tweet. There's going to be a bit of news like you saw earlier. And if you're not at your desk or you're not ready to trade, the market's going to run away from you. It's going to pump 10-15%, and then you're going to be chasing. So for me, just to sort the FOMO out, I've started identifying big levels. I'm starting small positions here. If they go lower, great. We're adding on those next levels. Remember, we're teeing this up, so we're not going to get liquidated if they jump it now, like Injective, for example, if they dump it down to 7. Okay, so manage your position size, manage your expectation. Don't ape in max clip at 6.3, because what if they drop it to 5? Okay, are you going to be able to buy some more down there? What if they drop it to 3? Are you going to handle that? So manage your position sizing. This is such key. And if you're concerned about that, then maybe just go spot. But in terms of a snapback bounce at some point, it's coming. Okay, at some point, we're going to get a nice move out of these tokens. And I just want to be geared and ready for it. Now, here's another one, Link. And there's 3 levels for you guys. The first one, look at this ping, 786 fib. macro fib coming into play. What does it tie into? Weekly levels, okay? Absolute banger zone. It's like when it drops into the basket like that, that's a buy zone, okay? Like 9 times out of 10, when it hits these types of levels after a long visit from the upside, you're going to get a reaction there. Now we've got the reaction, so remember this for next time, okay? And this is the first level now. We've got a bounce on Link. Let's just see the size of the move. 10% bounce today, dropping into a macro 786 and a weekly level. So nice area there for Link. Then in terms of lower down, 9.3, 8.3. These are big levels for me on Link. You can see why these make sense. Look at that. I wouldn't be surprised if they come here. That's a nice area there for us. Nice wick as well. So just be prepped for those levels. But in terms of buying, in terms of starting to accumulate now in this current macro position, this is making sense to me, okay? So 10.3, 9.2, 8.3, they're making sense to me for some kind of bouncage. Under here, okay, we'll have to deal with it, okay? I mean, I'll probably be getting smoked under this region, but we can see 6 is also potentially back into play. Look at that. Look at the size of that move out of that nice consolidation there. Ruggiero says, what about S? I bought some S today, bro. A little bit of that. So Robert says, about time it came back down. Yeah, I mean, it is about time. Now it's opportunity, guys. And let's just identify the opportunity. Here's NVIDIA for you guys. Remember how everybody loved NVIDIA. They're part of the NVIDIA, the NVIDIA Foundation or something. They involved there, some kind of thing with NVIDIA. There's so much AI talk. It's the L1 for AI, all these things. Now everyone's forgotten about NVIDIA because why? You loved it here. You loved it here. You loved it up there. So why don't you love it now? Somebody loved NVIDIA just a little bit. So in terms of areas for me, on NVIDIA, you can see the big zones are this current region, 2 down to 1.98. Then we've got 1.8, and then we've got 1.45. Those are the big ones for me on NVIDIA. Those are the buy zones. Those are the moves that are going to get you into these positions that eventually give you these pumps. Look at this. Even the small pump here on the left-hand side, what did they give us there? 100% on that guy. What did they give us on this move up here? 77, 280. Okay, at some point we're going to get this move. Is it here? Maybe. Is it here? Potentially. One of them is going to be 100%. Okay, I would say. And that for me is reason why I'm starting to ladder into some of these altcoins. Now, let's talk BONK as well. Same story. And this is a big level for BONK. I'm actually a little bit concerned about this BONK if it loses this big level. And it's quite a long way down. Okay, look at that. So BONK is a 46% dump if this level doesn't hold. So if ever I needed to use that, it's now on BONK. Okay, it's literally here. So what my advice here is be super careful on this guy. Okay, if this thing capitulates here, it could get proper messy. So in terms of BONK, reasonable area here, 99 down to 90 makes sense to me. A little bit of a zone, should get some kind of bounce. If we start closing under this level, guys, it's ugly. It's proper ugly. And I'm looking at 5, 5.1, 5.2, those types of areas. Personally, I'm not going to be riding BONK down on any fucking position to 5 if it starts losing that area. So I'm going to start cutting if we start losing these lows. Okay, as simple as that. If we start losing this 90 region, I'm out of this thing. Okay, so small positions here, laddering in, but I'm not going to stick around on BONK. It's too far down for me to go. Okay, let's go AVAX. This could be a banger, guys. Really, 16. Where we sitting right now? This guy, call it 15.5. Look at that, 15.5. Number 1. Where's my next buy zone? 12. Where's my next buy zone? 9.5. Those are the zones. Look at the moves off these areas. Look at this. Dropped in there, bang. Look at this guy, bang. Look at that, bang. Okay, so now we're getting into these areas of interest. We need to start paying attention. Again, is this the bottom? Maybe not. Is that the bottom? Maybe not. Is this the bottom? Maybe not. But we do know one of these is going to give us a nice size move out of the market. So again, sniffing around, small positions, buying on these types of areas now, waiting for some kind of short-term reverse. If we do, for some instance, get a short-term reverse on the market already and we get a nice pump out of these tokens, probably going to be cutting those positions. If we get 20%, 25% on some of these little attempts we've had, probably going to start cutting some of them as well just to protect ourselves. But that, guys, is my plan at the moment. James, are you laddering in, sir? Are you doing any of this fiddly business? No, not yet.
Not at all. I'm buying nothing yet. I'll wait for confirmation first.
Okay.
The price won't go. It won't go anywhere without me. It loves coming back. So until I see some confirmation that the market's turned around, Trump's done with the fuckery, then I'll think about it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get a pullback. You're right.
There always is.
There
right?
always is. There always is. That's a wise man there. Okay, that's a wise man. Let's talk about 𝗷𝗆. Look at this thing. Okay, this thing absolutely rinsed 4. Okay, who's ready for 𝗷𝗆 at 4? Did you like it? Did you like 𝗷𝗆 at 48? Okay, here it is at 4. This is if it's gonna bounce, guys. For me, down to 4 makes so much sense to me in terms of this area. Is this project going to survive if it loses 4? You know, fundamentally, can this thing survive? So I would say coming into a hot zone here, I think it's very close on 𝗷𝗆, and I think the bottom is pretty near on this thing. If it loses 3, guys, I think it's over. Okay, I mean, like literally, fuck, I don't know where they're going to go with this 𝗷𝗆.
It's pretty damn close now. It's almost there.
Is it still a project? I mean,
well, apparently, but man, how is this $5? Everybody's screaming about it when it was 50, 40, whatever, and it's $5. Trader Jay talked about this a long time ago, like months ago. He's like, man, this could come to 5. I'm telling you, it can get there. Sure enough, yep. During the Asia session, he was live with this going, man, it actually hit. Holy crap.
There you go, guys. So you got anything down to 4, that's there. Okay, it's a reality now on 𝗷𝗆. Let's talk WIF. This is a potential bounce zone as well. There's 2 big areas here on WIF for me. Now, because of these memes, sorry, I'm getting a little update button here. Don't install. No, we don't want to install. In terms of WIF, what are we looking at here? It's similar to BONK. If we start losing this type of area, it's another 40% ride to the downside. Now, that is not really something I want to be part of, okay? 40% ride to the downside. But in terms of sniffing around in an area for WIF, I'd say anything down to 2.9 makes sense to me. And I've got some buys in now at WIF a little bit lower down earlier today. So somewhere around that region, you're looking at about 30s, those types of areas. That's probably the best zone for me because that allows you some room to breathe and it also allows you some space to cut. Now, remember, these are low leverage things. We're not doing maximum leverage here. This is like 3x stuff that I'm getting involved in at the moment. So for me, close under 27, probably going to start cutting the WIF position, close under 27. Next big buy zone for you guys, 1.8, okay, stink bid zone. I spoke about that in the hackers session last night about stink bid areas. That's an area you leave in case the market collapses while you are sleeping, where you think it might not even go there, and they come and they wick you down into those zones. So that for me, 0.18 and 0.27 are the big zones there for WIF for me. And then HBAR, actually not here just yet. So the funny thing about HBAR is it might be coming lower first. So I'm not super comfortable with where it is at the moment. You can see I've got some weekly levels here at 1138. Okay, 1138. You can see I've got a 786 as well. So interesting. This might be actually telling us a story that we might have to dip into that zone first. So that is a nice level for me. 1138 makes sense to me. If we start losing that, guys, it's an absolute dog show, okay, to the downside. It's going to get proper filthy, and you might be looking at 64 and things like that on HBAR. So best Uncle Donald bounces the market before HBAR loses that. So 1138 I would pay attention to. Then CAS, guys, I've bought some CAS, okay. This is why. Look, there's lots of talk about rounded tops and things like that, and double tops and triple tops, but you can see there was a head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. This thing was, I think it played out fairly. Okay, now we've lost the neck, and you can see we are dropping down. Now, in terms of big zones, guys, CAS 0.052. Next level, 0.0311. Okay, big areas here for me. Even if it's a small short-term bounce to the range lows, the previous range lows, that's an 80% move potentially on CAS. So I just want to make sure I've got something in the game now on this thing. So big levels for me, 5.2, big level for me, this 3.2 down to 3 makes a lot of sense. And then a little note here for you guys. Now, these weeklies take forever to play out. So I wouldn't say, oh, just because you see the divergence on the weekly, we must push buttons immediately. We know that takes a while to play out, but we've got double divergence here on the weekly chart. That could be an indication at some point for a nice move to the upside. Okay, so let it play out, give it some time. But Cass, those are the big levels for me. I like those areas and dipping my toes at these current levels. Then another one, THETA. You haven't heard me talk about this one in ages. And THETA, can it get any darker than where we are at the moment? Can it get worse than the bear market in September 23? I can't believe this, James. We are at worst. I mean, we are at the same level at 2023. We thought it couldn't get worse than that. And here we are. So THETA, guys, I started buying a little bit of THETA. There's big levels here. Look at this area. Look at these zones here at 58, 60, 56. Okay, big area there. Then we've got a big gap down to 38. But in terms of reaction zones, in terms of bounce zones, we are nearly there on THETA. And in terms of the level of pumpage, well, the last time it did 500%. Then they had another go. When was this? This was on the Trump pump. That was 230%. So even a little lower high at some point from somewhere in that area, maybe a 200%, maybe 100% to the 50-day moving average, something like that. But I do believe at some point it is coming. So there could be another move to the downside, 10, 15%. On these alts, but I'm feeling we are getting there. Okay, we are getting there slowly. So THETA will be in chart hackers for you guys as well. Then let's talk render. Same story, big levels, 2.6 for me. Your next one is going to be 2.6 and 2. These are your big levels on render. I think again, does it make sense at these types of levels? When were we there? October 23. In the filthy bear market back there. So now we are moving back to those types of levels. 2.6. 2 for me on render, starting to make sense there. And where is Shakespeare guy? Is that a question? Shakespeare's pipe. Where's that guy?
Everybody's looking for him now with Theta where it's at. He just kind of disappeared, I guess.
Oh yes, he was always asking about Theta.
Every day, yes. Theta.
Well, there we go. Shakespeare's pipe, bro. There for you. Okay, let's talk Litecoin. Gave this level yesterday on the Hacker Zoom session. Look at this. It's absolute perfection on this macro 786. Look at that 786 bounce there for Litecoin. Beautiful dip into 63. This is a buy zone for me. This 63 zone makes a lot of sense. So you can see we've had a bounce now. Maybe we're going to come back and just tap this area again while we wait for Uncle Donald to give us the news we want. But 63, guys, big level. And then the next one for me is 51. That makes sense for some kind of bounce on Litecoin. This chart will be in chart hackers for you. Okay, you can see clear as day here. These are the big zones. These are the zones we take on risk. So we don't take on risk in between. Okay, if you're in between, it's a different game you're playing. If you're in between here, it's a different game. Wait for these areas to come. Then you buy on those zones, okay? And what do you say? Blood on the dance floor there. What's he say? Glenn Goldberg. Hello, sir. Good to have you here. Then we talk ONDO. So another one for me, ONDO, guys, massive level. We know RWA play, BlackRock, a full narrative behind it. Everybody loves a bit of ONDO. They're making money. They're doing tokenized stocks, from what I understand. It's an actual business. Okay, so ONDO theoretically should do okay. And in terms of buying fundamentally, well, massive level here at 59 down to 56 for me in terms of ONDO. But you can also see, so there might be a couple of reactions here in the meantime while they ride this thing a little bit lower down. So if you like a bit of ONDO, okay, there's a level here at 67 that you can watch as support. But in terms of the big zone, the high conviction zone for me, there it is. Okay, ONDO, guys, look out there. 59 to 56. You might be surprised because you might be buying it at that type of level. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Jeez, that's an absolute wrap for me. Let's do a check-in on Bitcoin quickly. Let's see where we are. Still undecided. Maybe some news still coming, guys. Maybe some news. Let's look at our stocks. Green, okay. Meta's okay. Yeah, okay, they're hanging in there. Tesla, that NVIDIA, oh, I'm salty about that. Okay, S&P also trying to hold the levels. It's like we're waiting for some kind of news here out of the markets. Okay, so guys, it's probably going to be another sweaty 24 hours, I would think. Watch your alts. You've got big levels now. You understand the game plan. For me, what I'm looking for, the DGen stuff, we're just slowing down a little bit on the DGen stuff. Let's just make sure we get some conviction and we get some proper setups here. So tomorrow, once we get clarity on where we are in the market, the DGen setups will start coming out again, especially in chart hackers. We'll make sure you guys have tons of setups. Until then, just be safe out there, okay? Slow it down until we know. Okay, catch you later.